This last question, though, will if we get a good answer on this, I'm sure we're going to get lots of likes and subscribes. And that is when Binance.
When Binance. Ooh, spelled perfectly too, by the way. Thank you for that.
We're close. I'd say a couple weeks away. It's like at the end of the assembly line. Just got to take care of a few last things to test a few last things and get it pushed out to production. And then once it all looks good in production, we'll lift the curtain. We'll kind of launch it. We call it like a dark launch, where like all the code goes live, but it's not available to anyone. And if everything looks good in the dark launch and there are no issues caused by introducing the Binance integration, then we'll lift the curtain, make the announcement, send out an email, write a blog post, do all that fun stuff.
So I got to share a little story here. I got started in the crypto automation game back in 2016 and 2017, and Binance was actually one of the first integrations that I did. And Binance's API is one of the most annoying APIs in the entire crypto space. And it was actually kind of revealing and somewhat validating to watch John work on the Binance API, because he went through the same exact struggles that I did back in 2017, because they haven't changed anything about their API, by the way. Like, they've made some improvements, but it's exactly the same limitations and struggles that I went through early on in another product. So John, did you have any like specific struggles that you wanted to share? Because, you know, this has been fun for me to watch.
I mean, there's just, and it's not just Binance either. I mean, a lot of times you can tell when an API is built that it's like built by like a business person or not built, but designed. Like the specs are designed by someone who knows nothing about being a developer, and it looks great on paper. And then it gets handed off to a developer, like probably a developer in India or like some country. They're not a trader, and they literally just like follow the spec exactly to the T that was designed by the person who's not a developer. Maybe they understand finance and trading, but they don't understand what it's like to be a developer and what you expect as a developer. But yeah, just weird stuff like when you fetch the orders list, you have no way to say I want like this specific
All
ticker.
orders.
Yeah, all orders.
They require.
It's the reverse. You have to specify a specific ticker. It's like, well, what if I want to see the full list of all my recently closed orders, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's just a lot of weird stuff. Like that.
I think another thing I noticed, and this was a fun one to reconcile, is that they reuse order IDs. So they're all numeric. But because they've created this dimension of the pair, or the symbol as they call it, being a required field for the order endpoint, when you ingest orders, the order ID could conflict with an order ID on another symbol. So you might have BTC USDT with order ID 1234, and then pull back Sol USDT, and it also has order ID 1234.
Well, dang, I didn't know that. That might be an issue. I got to look into that.
Oh, great! Here, I just kicked out the timeline for Binance.
And how would you even know that? Like, it's just so weird. Like an identifier. The word is literally an identifier. Like, I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense.
The reason I figured it out is because I didn't have the symbol as a dimension in the database, but I had a unique key on the identifier, assuming that this would be unique, and it wasn't. I started to ingest the data, and all of a sudden I got a conflict on the ID.
It doesn't make any sense. And I don't even know how, like from a database perspective, like I feel like you would have to like do extra work to make it behave that way. Like databases just like behave that way by default when you have identifiers. Like they're guaranteed.
It's clear that they have different databases per symbol. They all live in their own universe.
I see.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe there was usually there's an explanation for that stuff. It's just, we don't understand like the constraints that they were working within, or maybe they had scaling considerations and like that's why they made that decision. So if I understood the full picture, I would like, I guess, understand it. But every other broker that exists doesn't have that requirement. And like there are systems that are much, much larger than Binance. Facebook, for example, like they have unique identifiers for things, and they're unique across the whole data set. So, I mean, if they're able to do it, I feel like you should probably be able to do it too. That would be my take on it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see the infrastructure constraint, but you're correct in that I would be making assumptions about how their infrastructure was designed internally and why it was designed that way. What we do know is that no one else seems to be following this procedure. This is unique to
Yeah.
Binance.
I mean, they could have, and maybe the things that I can think of that would make sense, like maybe they inherited some like legacy tech or infrastructure that Binance was built on top of, but that seems unlikely because Binance is a brand new company. I mean, maybe they bought a company and that's like the foundation of something that they built on top of.
I don't think
Maybe.
so. I think they actually built it from the ground up because my understanding is that CZ actually has a background with another. He from another firm, and they had their own matching engine. So he had technical experience in building a matching engine in the past and had experience in HFT. So it sounds like it was an early design decision, and it was probably an outgrowth of something specific that he learned from his background. And they just stuck with it. But now we're all paying the price for that design decision.
Yeah.
So next Tuesday, it's coming out next Tuesday.
Yeah, right. Well, now that John's learned the order ID problem, we'll see.
And it's tough, and I don't remember seeing anything in the documentation about that. I probably just missed it in the like. I mean, that's part of the issue is that like when you have that many like little edge cases, like in a 500-page manual that documents all those things, like it's really unintuitive and it's easy to miss that type of stuff. And they're just like, oh, it was in the documentation, but it's like, well, it doesn't make any sense.
No. Yeah, I don't think it's stated. You're right. I ended up creating a hash of the symbol plus the order identifier and using that as the unique key.
Yeah, I'll have to make that same change.
Okay, well, you got a little peek into the development process here. If you like this kind of nerdy stuff, let us know, and we'll tell you more about the stuff we're working on behind the scenes.